Most digital health founders think adoption is a sales problem. It is not. You build something valuable, but it's stuck behind slow workflows, delayed diagnosis, and behavior no one designed for. In this episode, Dr. 𝐸𝐨𝐻𝐒𝐡𝐧, physician, former Chief Medical Informatics Officer, HealthTech AI product leader, and now the COO of Linus Health, shares how digital health companies actually scale by turning months into minutes, fitting real clinical workflows, and solving problems people will truly use.
Healthcare entrepreneurs, are you ready to rewrite the rules for your business so you can have more time off, a great team, and more income while creating a positive social impact? Then you are in the right place. Welcome to The Provider's Edge. I'm your host, Sabrina Runbeck. I'm a provider, an international peak performance keynote speaker, and a best-selling author. Let's open the gateway to profitability for you today. My guests and I help healthcare entrepreneurs and startup founders like you break through barriers so you can control your business, control your life, and control your future. This is your defining moment to be a disruptor in healthcare.
We are at Health Again 2025. So excited to be here. And then we have Dr. 𝐸𝐹 here with us. Health really is a lot of innovation, a lot of clinicians come together, and health systems, and a lot of just noise and energy, right? So what really feel like this year really brought you here? What do you really wanted to do at Health?
So definitely from seeing what's going on, the AI discussion, seeing whether it's agentic AI or other pieces of generative AI are really beginning to take hold in healthcare. So I'm the Chief Operating Officer at a company called Linus Health. We do digital cognitive assessments and leverage AI to skill up medical assistants, skill up primary care to tackle dementia problems. So always on the lookout for what other people are doing in their own space to see what we can learn from, but also if there's any potential partners out there that we really need to merge into a single ecosystem. Our CEO just did a presentation with the CEO of 𝐸𝐸, which has a multi-group of agentic AI to help payer members, like on a league of their own. So that combination of syncing our technology with what others are doing to really get people the ability to understand their brain health is what's driving me this year.
Yeah, mental health has been coming up with more and more solutions. I've been seeing both, as you're saying, the GenTech side of it, or people doing of PTSD, depression side of how to retrain your brain, neural markers, trying to combining different resources. So with your guys' technology, where have you guys been inserting yourself in when you said primary care and then some of these clinics? Is that all throughout the US, and where's the sweet spot right now?
Yeah, so our focus is on dementia and identifying mild cognitive impairment. So there are about 20 million people over the age of 55 that have mild cognitive impairment. 92% are undiagnosed. So 9 out of 10 don't know they have it. And that's because it's generally done by a neuropsychologist. And that is a 9-month wait. And there's a couple thousand of them in the country trying to serve millions of people. So we are going into primary care, going into neurology clinics, and giving them digital cognitive assessments. So something that would take 3 hours can get done in 10 minutes and have about 90% as much accuracy as that 3 hours. So really democratizing the ability to understand if your brain's working properly, particularly as you age.
Right, it's all about nowadays is speed to diagnosis, right?
Yeah.
The earlier we catch it, especially dementia, Alzheimer's is such a detrimental disease. Even for me, my ex-father-in-law was diagnosed. I actually diagnosed him before he got formally diagnosed. And when he did, it was already end stage, right? So now we have both drugs developments are coming out to how to even treat some of the earlier stage versus now you guys is about like how do we get them into our system faster so that we can help with these additional therapeutic side of slowing down the progression, right?
I'm so excited that you refer to it as end stage because I talk a lot and talking to prospects or customers or inside the company, there's a really clear parallel to early treatment in cancer. And if you're treating stage 1 cancer, it's very different than if you're treating stage 4 or end stage cancer. That dementia spectrum is the same. If we're catching cognitive impairment when you're first having problems, there are all kinds of options, even non-medication problem. Even exercise, lifestyle, socialization has been shown to add years of independence if you start it early.
Right.
If you wait until people are already not able to do their checkbook, not able to do their laundry, that's a pretty, defined course after that, even with the new medications. But prior to that stage, we do have, the anti-amyloid therapies, and I'm super excited because the EVOKE trials closed last month, and they're looking at oral semaglutide for dementia prevention. They're supposed to read out in early December, but even just the prospect that we're going to have a pill that prevents dementia is huge.
Right, and then I was recently actually connected with a company that they also do screening, more of a biomarker screening. So all of these things can be combined into a centralized platform, because then it's also there are VCs that are looking specifically at these neurological detriments.
Oh yeah, and one of the big things about ecosystem, we partnered with a group that did biomarker screening. We did 180 people in 4 hours and did the cognitive assessment, the biomarker assessment, and got them seen by a neurologist within 30 days. And that's just like completely unheard of and disruptive for a pathway that is wait until a family member is concerned, they see their primary care doc, they refer them to neurology. 6 months later, they see neurology, who refers them to neuropsychiatry, who sees them and refers them back. And sometime in the next 12 months, they go, oh, yeah, you have really bad dementia. It was kind of bad when you started, and now it's really bad.
Right. It's just like, how do we not delay for that constantly? Jump from one person to the next, right?
Yeah.
And in the healthcare, I feel like both from a payer insurer kind of cause us to slow down that process, right?
Yeah.
It's like who in your network is even approved to see you, and those people are so busy they can't even get to you, right?
Yeah.
And then another conversation we were having with the biomarker company we were talking about is also how do we get people seeing that don't be afraid to know. If you catch it earlier, we have so many options, so you're not delaying until we can't do too much anymore, right? It's that mental shift.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of discussions with my patients on just the blood-based biomarkers, so I do see people using the technology that my company sells and identify people in primary care that are clearly having cognitive impairment, having dementia symptoms, functional impairment, and there is still a resistance to getting the formal diagnosis, finding out that they have Alzheimer's disease. There is a big stigma with it, a lot of fear, and I spend a lot of time talking to my patients about the value of having the diagnosis, particularly with all of the treatments that are coming. And it really changes the entire diagnostic journey. So I had a patient 2 weeks ago that really, looked like they had a high likelihood of Alzheimer's disease. We were able to get them the blood-based biomarker the next day. They saw neurology the day after that. And, take a 1.5 year long journey and make it 2 or 3 days, because we have the right technology, both the right biologic technology as well as the right ability to understand the brain function.
Right, and then that's a whole load of weight and burden off your family member as well, because you want to expand the time they have, right, with functionality and biomarker in a way of, we say, hey, if we catch it early, we have solutions, and not that the typical thought we have is you don't remember anybody, you're stuck in a nursing home, right? And then there's not much a solution. We really needed to change the pattern of how people see what possibility can be. So what stage of company are you guys at now? And now what's the goal for the next year?
Yeah, so Linus is a Series B company. We're just about to cross our $10 million in annual revenue number. We've got 16 U.S. health systems, another 130 private practices, physician practices that are using the technology. We're seeing next year as a really big ramp year for us, particularly as we begin to spread within one of the national providers that we signed in the last quarter.
Yeah, that's exciting, right? Like really seeing people actively engage using it, and I think there's every phase, right? When you're pre-seed, when you're just before revenue, you're like, this can be the next big thing. And then we start getting traction, start getting into all the hospital and private practice. And then there's the case study. There's the way that we can really talk about what the true result is. And now it's all about what is the ramp up to scale up, right? And then it become a common sense into everybody's household.
Yeah, I mean, I think digital cognitive assessments are really about to have that breakout moment. They are doable in primary care. They're doable by medical assistants. We have, in those community screenings, the way we got 200 people, we took volunteers, not off the street, but volunteers from the health system that was supporting us, trained them about 15 minutes, and they could accurately give a cognitive assessment, which is just unheard of from a workforce potential.
Yeah.
Because we've got 65 million seniors that need to have their brain tested, hopefully every year to catch this at the earliest point. And I do think this is going to become a kind of no-brainer moment. Like, why did we ever do this on paper and pencil? And you're going to look back, in 2030 and be like, oh, this was clearly a thing that made sense.
And then, as we know, we are a group of clinicians that wanted to lead, clinicians that want to go beyond the bedside, because I'm all about us who has to be the forefront of innovation. So all the clinician-led innovation, because then we know how to actually engage creating the best experience, right? Go to market. Yeah. Instead of when people don't come to us early enough, that's when the adoption become more difficult. So for all of the people out there thinking about, just like yourself, taking on these board roles, leadership, innovation roles, what would you say to people who just start thinking about but haven't really stepped into those?
Yeah, so the first thing I tell people is, learn about the diffusion of innovation, learn about the psychology of the theory of planned behavior, because it really plays out. You really have to work on, do people want to do it? Do they think other people want to do it? Do they feel like they can do it? You've got to pull those levers to get utilization. And then also understanding you got your laggards, your innovators, what do your innovators give you that your early majority doesn't? So really on that academic side, I'm a big fan of understanding that aspect. But after that, it's just kind of dive in and get better at it, accept that you're going to suck before you're good at it. And if you haven't really done innovation or adoption before, your first time's not going to be like the most pleasant thing. Nothing about clinical training was ever easy. At least, I never found the first central line that I did wasn't like, woo, yeah, I was perfect, right? So, lean back on that clinical training where you're going to have some learning you have to do, but also, the apprenticeship model works. Find a mentor, find somebody to talk to that's done this before. But if you've got the will to power through, the base knowledge of what you're getting into, and somebody to help bounce ideas off of, you can make a difference.
Yeah, and I think that's our whole drive is we can become a lot more than just a bedside clinician, especially thinking about some people are just not meant to create their own company, but you can be an investor, right? The companies, if you are also a neurologist, you haven't built something that can be a great to supplement into something like you guys or any other neurocapacity with children, with adults, and then your money actually is creating a legacy where you don't have to put in the 40 hours a week and putting in even more money to even think about if you can't go anywhere, right? So I'm always a big component of take on board roles, get yourself become an investor into startup companies, because then you get to have a say into what could be.
Yeah, and before I started on the vendor side, I was a chief medical information officer, but long before I got into the vendor side, I was a startup advisor. So, I worked with Plug and Play and was an advisor to a number of those companies because I was a CMIO. So if you are thinking about getting into investing, getting into a vendor role, those advisory groups with Startup Health or somebody, and they're always looking for clinician advisors, the topical experts, to get an idea of, what's a successful startup going to look like? Who do I want to partner with? Which of these things are kind of, for lack of a better term, my vibe? Like where do I want to put my energy? Where do I want to put my money? But getting in those advisor roles, which are almost always available at these startup incubators.
Right. And then that's one of our movement too, is getting an entire clinician power back, people that we can really see each other as the powerhouses in healthcare and become the Tiger 21 of that space, right? And because we deserve it, we should reward ourselves from all the hard years of going to school and then serving all the hospital system. Now we can stand up to see how our thought leadership can lead the innovation. So now let's go back to you guys. I like to wrap up with a fun question. So if we give you a magic wand and the magic wand grants you 3 wishes, what would you use for to speed track your next year's growth?
So my number one thing for the magic wand is I'd make the EVOKE trials positive, because if I can put any influence into a pill that prevents dementia, that's both great for the world and awesome for the company. My second one would be around the USPSTF recommendations. So the cognitive screening recommendations are back out for review. They were, unequivocal last time. They didn't recommend for or against. So I really hope they're going to look at the new research over the last 5 years and clearly see that we should be doing cognitive screening and identifying everyone's baseline brain health so that we can then track over time, see when there's changes. And I'm sure from your experience in cardiothoracic surgery, you had patients after surgery that you're like, is this them? Was something happen? Did there change? Particularly if it was a, acute cardiac event that led to the surgery.
Right.
So not having that baseline doesn't allow us to understand what medical events did to people. So I love that recommendation to be in place. And then the third one really would be that there's just a big movement around the change of attitude towards cognitive impairment. And it is a chronic treatable disease, not a chronic progressive inevitability. That if you identify things early, you can change the trajectory of your entire life by making sure that your brain works longer and better. So that'd be my third wish, is that people just got over the stigma that's there and, made the choice to try.
Yeah, so it's really about that system-wise change of what can we put in place to already do more of this, as well as the individuals to see that it's not just, oh my God, I found out inevitable doom and death, right? And it's actually helping you to find out much earlier. And I think that's the shift that we've been seeing, instead of the sick care model, disease-driven, we're starting thinking prevention, early detection. How do we really, longevity is not just about perfect health. Longevity is about overall higher quality of how we live. And there's so many different modalities that we can all figure out together in this way. So we're very excited for you guys to be here doing this work already in so many health systems, hoping more health systems open up, more private practice ACOs start adapting them. And so we wrap, how would people find you to have a deeper conversation with you?
Sure. So LinkedIn is probably the easiest way to find me. It's just John Showalter, MD at LinkedIn, or you can email me at jshowalter@linus.health, and happy to connect that way as well.
Awesome. For everybody else who are involved in mental health of any capacity, especially in this dementia space, please reach out, as well as comment below. What are something that you've been seeing out there that you perhaps have heard about, used, and what's that personal story that you can tell us? Share on LinkedIn, tag both of us. We would love to continue those conversations with you.
Absolutely. We'd love to be part of that conversation.
Thank you for listening. Remember, the positive change we're seeking starts right here with me and you. If you are a fan of the show, or if you are just having struggles or success that you're either experienced in the past or are experiencing now in the healthcare industry, these matter to all of us. I want to hear from you. Visit sabrinarunbeck.com/connect and send me a direct message. Talk soon.